What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dre. Welcome back to the Hip Hop Shop. This is episode 3, and I just wanted to just give my thoughts on, all the music that was released, this past month, and my thoughts on that whole Drake and Pusha T beef or whatever, which came ahead at the end of May, really. After years of throwing shots back at each other, where that beef originally started from, pretty much Birdman not paying the Neptunes, I guess like their fee, what because Birdman is notorious for not paying producers, whether it's in house or out of house or whatever producers. But yeah, he never gave them their fee for what happened to that boy, which was featured in the clips, and so that pretty much started the beef between I guess like Pusha, well originally the clips and Lil Wayne or whatever, because Lil Wayne had went on, I think it was like a Rolling Stone interview. He had threw some shots at the clips, because the clips they started rocking, well the clips and Pharrell whatever, they were the first ones to really rock the Bathing Apes clothes and all that, and then Lil Wayne started copying off of them and rocking some Bathing Apes. He threw some shade or some shots at them in an article, and I believe it was like the Rolling Stone or whatever. So you know the clips had came out with the song Mr. Me Too, which was a subliminal shot at Lil Wayne, you know be like letting people know that he was copying off of them, and they weren't the only ones that were accusing Lil Wayne of copying styles or whatever around that time, because Gilly the Kid was saying that Lil Wayne had bit off the Philly nigga style around the Carter too, but you know so after they threw some shots at him, they were just going back and forth, and then Drake a few years later was signed to Young Money, Cash Money or whatever, decided to front line for the boss, Wheezy, and take some bullets for him. And pretty much, fast forward, uh, here we are. Here we are. And yeah, that beef came to a head, and then it then it abruptly stopped. So on Daytona, which was Push's latest release, which came out last month, he took some not so subtle shots at Drake, and opened it up with the game's fucked up, niggas beats is banging, nigga your hooks did it, the lyric penning equal the Trumps winning. The bigger question is how the Russians did it. It was written like Nas, but it came from Quentin, which he pretty much you know, was referencing what Meek had said, pretty much like, Drake had a ghostwriter. And at first, people was like, he's using the ghostwriter thing again. Uh, you know, it was cool. Like, it was definitely, some good bars or whatever. Even though he borrowed the cadence from Jay-Z on the opening song of Kingdom Come. And pretty much like when Jay did that, he was coming at the game, because him and Game, were exchanging some bars back and forth at that time as well. So, he borrowed Jay's flow and pretty much like, got at Drake or whatever. And so then Drake, he responded like fast, like one of the fastest responses that I can remember in hip hop history. Like it was like less than 24 hours. Like Drake responded with the Duppy freestyle, and he was getting that pushing, man. Like threw some shots at Kanye as well. I popped styles for 30. I popped style for 30 hours, then let him repeat. Like but it's not really common. Well, it's not really a secret that Kanye West had ghostwriters his whole career as well. So I mean, I'm like, that's calling the tea kettle calling the pot black, because pretty much like You're accused of having ghost riders. Yay, has had ghost riders. So I'm like, what are you trying to accomplish with this shit? But then uh, he did admit that he was a Pusha T fan. He bought a Pusha T mic that was autographed, allegedly by Pusha on eBay, and he was saying that the signature is faded on there, and he was saying that Pusha's career is pretty much fading. That's how he views it. But where he really fucked up and opened up the door for the story of Adnan was when he mentioned, Pusha's fiance, Virginia Williams. Everybody knows the hip hop when you mention, you know, kids, wives, girls, fiancés, all gloves is off, dog. So I'm like, damn, that's where Drake fucked up. And he took the bait that Pusha T, like Pusha set a trap for this nigga. After the Duppy freestyle, people, though the internet was looking for, a quick response from Pusha T, but it took him a couple days or whatever, you know, and it came back with the story of Adnan, and I can see why it took him a couple days because that shit was like mad personal. He pretty much like got at Drake's dad, called that nigga a Steve Harvey suit wearing motherfucker. Yo, that shit still got me dying, B. Uh, Basically called Dennis Graham a deadbeat as well because like he was, I guess, like always on the road or whatever. He ain't really spend much time with Drake or whatever. Came at Drake's mom. He was like, if you're such a winner, then why is your mom, the one who's losing? Why is Sandy the one who's losing? Because she ain't ever been married. And so pretty much like then he was like, he came at Drake's baby moms, which if you were paying attention to the rumors, like 2017, the porn star Sophie or whatever, like she was coming at Drake saying that she was pregnant. Drake denied it, and then like tried to sweep it under the rug, but Pusha brought the shit back and exposed that the child really was his, and how Drake was going to pretty much like announce the baby to the world. He was going to have like introduce his clothing line that he partnered with Adidas called it was called Adnan, because his son's name is Adonis, and so pretty much Pusha ruined that nigga's whole marketing plan and everything. I'm like, yo, this shit is funny as hell, dog. Came at OVO 40. My man's got multiple sclerosis and shit, saying that he looked like he about to die. I'm like, yo, that shit is crazy, dog. Like, but this is the first hip hop diss record that I've ever heard. Like a man tell another man that you are a bad father and you need to take care of your kid. Like, dog, he basically like put Drake in damage control for like the whole Scorpion album, because like the Scorpion album was supposed to be like on some other type shit, I guess like some other Drake type shit, and Scorpion, which was released at the end of June, June 29th, like pretty much like I look at it as Drake doing damage control throughout the whole entire damn album. He mentions his son a couple times, even mentioned that he hadn't seen his son since like Christmas and shit. So I'm like, damn, nigga, you really are a deadbeat. Even if you are, financially giving his mom some money and shit, even though she can't talk about it because you made her sign an NDA. So, because you're trying to protect your image. But, I mean, that shit is like fucking crazy, dog. Like the internet and the streets, they're still waiting for a proper response from Drake, to come at Pusha T. But according to Jay Prince, he had a talk with Drake, and he had a talk with Pusha T and got them to squash it or whatever. Pusha had went on record in an interview saying that he doesn't have a problem with Drake. I guess like it was just some shit that he had to get out, and so he was like, you won't hear him starting any more beef, I guess, like with Drake or whatever. So if Drake does respond, then Pusha, he'll respond back. But other than that, like he's not going to come at him, I guess, like anymore. Like the beef on his part is done. So I don't know if Drake is ever going to respond. He did take a couple shots, on the song 8 out of 10 on the Scorpion album. But other than that, I'm pretty sure that this shit is gonna die down. So um, yeah, so I would say Pusha won this beef. He won this battle, and you know, fuck it, Drake should never ever ever beef with another nigga again. I mean, you got lucky with that Meek Mill shit, but other than that, like, nah, nigga. Like, when you come at real lyricists, I mean, because even Joe Budden slaughtered this nigga, but Drake, I guess he felt that Joe Budden wasn't relevant enough to. Basically, Drake won that by not responding because Joe, like, was already eating him up, and if he would have responded, like, Drake would have got lyrically murdered by fucking Joe Budden. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I got on that subject, man. Like, moving on. So in June, also was, the rollout of, Kanye's Good Music plan or whatever. The first album that was dropped off of, for good music for over the summer was Daytona, as I mentioned, by Pusha T. That album was very solid. Pusha and Kanye, they pretty much found, I guess, like, the least amount of songs that you need. Well, the minimal amount of songs that you need for Grammy nomination is 7 songs. So that's why the majority of the Good Music releases have been 7 songs. And, like, the shits has been around like 20, 26, like 25, 26 minutes. I'm like, yo, me personally, I need more music, but at least Daytona was actually a really good album, so I can't really be too mad. And then Kanye released his Ye album, which, I mean, it's not the greatest album that he's ever put out, but it's better than, his last 2 projects. Like, The Life of Pablo and Yeezus, like, I fucking hated those albums. And I'm glad he's over that phase and he's kind of almost back to the usual Kanye sound that we've got used to. On this album, he's pretty much like embraces, bipolar disorder. He says that, it's his superpower. But other than that, like, there's some songs that I like off of the album, and then there's some songs that I'm like, all right, you could have did without this shit. And then also, even though he's not technically signed to Good Music, but Kanye produced the album. Nas's Nasir album came out, which actually I've only listened to it once, but I really liked that album. I got to go back and listen to it again. And then pretty much like during that weekend where Nas was supposed to, actually, I was expecting like to listen to, the whole Nas album that weekend, but then Jay and Beyonce dropped their surprise album, the Carter's album, and I'm like, damn, yo, like, these niggas is mad petty because they didn't even let, Nas enjoy the whole fucking weekend, and get all the streams and all that shit. Like, these niggas just came out of nowhere. It was just like, yo, fuck that. Here's our album. And it's on Tidal, bitch. I was like, yo, that's bad petty, yo. Maybe Jay-Z never got over Ether. Even though, like, niggas, kind of squashed the beef or whatever. But I don't think he ever gonna get over Ether. That was mad fucking petty. And also, tragically, in June, and actually on my birthday, XXX Extension was gunned down and murdered, leaving a motorcycle dealer not that far from where he lived. Like, this shit is very, very fucking tragic. And it's not like I was like a huge fan of his. I did listen to some of his music, back when he was on SoundCloud or whatever, like when nobody really heard of him. And he was pretty dope like then. He did switch his music style up a little bit. But with that being said, he lost his life for something so senseless. Like, it says, like, he was shot 4 times in the chest, while he was leaving the dealership, by 2 assailants, and they took his Gucci bag, which, allegedly had money in it. So, like, they basically killed this man over a couple $1,000s. this young man over $2,000, and like I don't care what anybody says, because he was accused of abusing his pregnant, baby moms, and even though he was gonna have his day in court, he was on house arrest and everything. Like, regardless of how you feel, he didn't deserve to be murdered like that. So, rest in peace to XXX Extension, or extend. I can't pronounce that boy name, but also, he did release an album, while well before he was actually murdered. He worked on this album while he was on house arrest, and I haven't listened to the whole entire album, but I do like that song "Sad," and the video that he dropped for it, before he was murdered. I did like the visuals for that video. It was basically him, it was the new XXX Tentacion versus the old X, and you could tell by the different hairstyles that he had, well, the different hair colors that he had, and the good had won out, and he was trying to change his life. Where I'm all for everybody changing for the best, for the positive, and he never got that chance because some suckers killed him over $2,000. So that's fucked up. But Florida is ass backwards, man. Like Jay said, they kill X, but George Zimmerman's still living. Florida, get y'all shit together, man. Well, I'd like to thank y'all for listening to episode 3, listening to me ramble on about some thoughts about the latest music that came out, and my thoughts on the death of XXX Tentacion, and look forward to coming up with a episode 4. Hopefully, it won't take me a couple months, but yeah. So if you're actually listening to this, because I know a lot of people are not really listening to this at this particular point in time, but if you are listening to this and you enjoy this, I appreciate y'all. And yeah, I'll catch y'all episode 4, man. Peace.